Peace and greetings, beautiful people. What's good? It's your girl Naya here. And this video is going to be July favorites and some chit chat, just general chit chat. So let's go ahead and start with my favorite tarot decks because we all love the tarot decks. So the way my month went, as you guys know, I did do an unboxing of the textured tarot not that long ago on my channel, and I really did use this deck in the beginning of July a lot. I found it to be very airy, very light, as far as like even the color palette, and the general color palette of this deck is very light and airy, very summertime and spring vibes I get from this deck. I'm sorry if this is, that's better. So the texture tarot, yeah, so I use this in the very beginning of July, and it reads so well. Excuse me. It reads so well. I'm actually taken aback by how good it reads. I did like it for the aesthetic that it has, and the colors and all that. Like on an artistic level, I really enjoy it. But I've come to realize during my hashtag Essential 22, which I'm still working on the back end, by the way, what it is that I need from a deck to function for me. It can't just be beautiful. There has to be context. There has to be something that has the structure of tarot. Like, it can't, if it goes too far off, it, you know, I'm almost, at least in this stage right now, I'm not so interested. But I feel like this could be a year-round deck. I particularly think it would be great during the spring and summer seasons, and for that I enjoy this deck. Yeah, so I'm not going to spend too much time on here, but this might be kind of a long video because I feel a little rambly today, and I feel like I haven't done a face video in a while, so that's what we got going on here. So texture tarot, really love that one in the month of July. Then I got my little pause on the second edition of Darkness of Light. I got it on a deal, so I went ahead and jumped at the opportunity to get it at a deal. And so what I found myself really loving about this deck is that, in contrast to the texture tarot, it is dark on the color scale from brightness to darkness, right? It kind of has this dark, shadowy qualities to it without being macabre or scary or awkward, or because I know sometimes we can label decks as being dark when we're referring to something that really may trigger us in a way that causes us to, you know, deal with things that cause us fear, that causes anxiety, that causes us maybe even perhaps it could be completely rational, but it could also be something completely irrational that, you know, it just doesn't sit well with us for whatever reason. But this deck doesn't do that. This deck, I feel, is a nice Rider-Waite variant, in that the elements are there, it's clean, the depictions are a little bit different, and for whatever reason it just calls to a certain side of me that is like, I feel like reading with the Rider-Waite Smith, but not necessarily the classic one. This is going to provide me with, this is what I found it provided me during around the second week of July. And I really love I love that there is a use of color, but it's very sparse and it's more on the play with the darkness and the light. And it's just so good. I really enjoyed this one this month, or this past month rather. I figured I'd rather do a favorites video. Better late than never, right? I did edge the sides with black Sharpie, and it just, oh, look at that, like, so good. So these are two new requirements that I got in July, and it's funny because I know the theme of the month was to in Tarot Nerds was to, you know, work with a deck that you don't usually reach for or work with. So for about the second half of July, I've really been kind of into my Tarot de Marseille decks, which I've had but just didn't really like reach for that often, and there was no real reason why. I just didn't. So Triumphi della Luna, I worked with this deck in the month of July. I love it so much. It's just such a cute, quirky, like the people in here are quirky. Like, I think what I love about this deck, right, is that, okay, let me bring it back a little bit because I'm getting ahead of myself. So one thing I know that a lot of people struggle with are the court cards. And what I find in regards to court cards is that in a Rider-Waite Smith tradition, with Smith, Waite Smith, oh my god, I'm kind of tired, so I'm sorry, that all of the minors have people in them. All of those people are doing things. And then when you get to the courts are just sitting there on whatever it is that they're sitting on, or they're just, it's almost like there's no context to what the courts are doing. So this is why I think a lot of people struggle with the courts. But if you use a deck that is Tarot de Marseille, you know, you really have no choice but to build bonds with the people cards on the deck. Of course, the major arcana has the people or the figures on them. And I think what I really love about this deck in particular is that the people, like, it's a classic, it is a Tarot de Marseille style deck. It is true in the structure, in the bones of it, right, in the essence of it. It's definitely Patrick Villenz's work, which I adore. But they don't look like real people, right? There's a cartooniness to it that just allows us to just enjoy the energies for the energies that they are, without necessarily going into race, religion, genders, and things like that. And it's especially apparent with the pip cards, and this deck particularly, just because, like I said, the style of the artwork, it's just you're looking at these cartoon characters, you're looking at these figures as just energies in general. You're not really going, oh, well, this is, at least for me, you know, diversity in a deck is important, yes, but at the end of the day, a good tarot deck, just, it reads well, the structure's there, and there's nothing too jarring about the deck overall. And so I found this deck to be a nice change. I mean, I've used it before, but just the way my year has been going since I've been really into the Thoth and reading all these books that I have over here. Tarot de Marseille was kind of it was nice to rekindle my relationship with Tarot de Marseille. So I used this deck first. Let me put it away real fast. I used this deck first. And then I went and used, what is this? This guy here, the Tarot de Marseille by Jodorowsky. Come on. And so I spent a lot of time with this guy, this deck. I did read, what was it? The last video that I uploaded right before this one, I know there was a part in there I was talking about books for Tarot de Marseille, and because I have them on digital, anyways, I noticed after the fact that I uploaded it that I said the book title's wrong. So the open reading is by Yov Bendov. And so is the book that I showed, which is The Tarot Revealed. The book that I'm reading is called The Art of Tarot, The Way of Tarot. The Way of Tarot by Alejandro Jodorowsky. And that was one book that I really enjoyed in the month of July. I just got to sit with it and change gears mentally about I just got to shift gears, basically. If I was on, running on high, this kind of neutralized me, if you will. So it gave me the mental break that I needed to still ingest information, just a little break from the main course of information I've been consuming all year. And this deck is really beautiful. You can find this one on Amazon. I think I mentioned that before. But as I'm reading the book and looking at these little tiny minute details on this deck, like these lines here mean something. It was a lot, but it was good though. I just had fun, and the whole point of me talking about Tarot de Marseille, the thing about Tarot de Marseille is it kind of forces you to build relationships with the energies of the court cards, because the pip cards or the minor arcana cards do not depict people on them at all. So you have no choice in the matter when it comes to reading TDM, because those are the only human figures you can identify with. So I found that to be maybe a tip that might work for some of you, wherein you're so used to the Rider-Waite-Smith of things that all of the cards have people on them. If you were to switch to a deck that has pip cards, when those court cards come up, you might be you're probably going to be happy, because you go, okay, I can identify with someone's energy, anybody's energy, you know what I mean? Without necessarily, looking at one of these pips and then throwing what you know about Rider-Waite into it. That's totally easy, but it's still visually, I feel like Tarot de Marseille really does something in that realm of the court cards that I know a lot of people struggle with. I think that's the only reason why I'm really bringing it up, is just tarot. And I was kind of cracking up about this too, right? Because it's called Tarot de Marseille, but my brain is very esoteric natured by nature. It's kind of just, it is what it is. I can't help but try to dig deeper into things. And so I started laughing because we had the eclipse season, the Mars retrograde, and all of that kind of stuff, right? But then I started thinking about I was studying the tarot card a little bit in depth. I've been working on that with a friend, and I had a really good laugh because I ended up getting the tower in a reading that I did in regards to that, which that card is esoterically associated with Mars. So I was just pondering about the tower card and Mars, and then, you know, the name, right? Tarot de Mars, say. And it all hit me at once. My very, very first deck was a Tarot de Marseille. And it all, like I said, it all just culminated at this head. And I had that tower moment. I had that mind blown, wow, I see it now. I see why Tarot de Marseille was the first deck to enter my life, because it's kind of like I came full circle. And I have a foundation to stand on now, but it's okay to like peel back the layers, break down the layers, and just work with the core of things. And I think that Tarot de Marseille really does do that, right? With the minor cards, there's no people, so the emphasis or the confusion is gone about what the court cards might mean. And it's just bare bones of a deck. I know there's just something about it that's so well, obviously it is old world because it's an old world tool, but I don't know, I just found something very refreshing and enlightening about that, and that Mars energy where it breaks things down, right? They say Mars, Mars is destructive, and he's a malefic, and this and this and that. Well, we can't have the good without the bad. I know that, but I just found it in the world that we live in now, with so much information and so many new decks coming out and all of that stuff, that taking some time to spend with the Tarot de Marseille, that whole minimalistic broken down structure is so simply beautiful and functional that it's difficult to work with, because we may have attached so much other things in with other systems of tarot, and it's just like, just read the cards, just read what you see, which is something when I was learning was really important, right? Read the cards. You don't have to tap in so deep. You don't have to do like a cold reading on the person in this way. Yes, there's an exchange, but it's very important to read aloud what you see on the cards. I know there's a lot of us that do written readings. That's fine. But I think anytime I try a new deck or a new system or something like that, reading it out loud, it's just like all the puzzle pieces come together. All the stuff you've been studying, all the practice that you may have had, it all culminates in that moment of the reading. And I don't know, just the Tarot de Marseille, there's something about its simplicity that is just iconic and beautiful. I don't know. I kind of rekindled my relationship with my Tarot de Marseille decks in July, and I've really been loving it. I did pick up a few decks. I know. Because my whole hashtag Essential 22, it doesn't mean I'm gonna get rid of all my decks. I don't think I'm gonna get rid of all my other decks, but I did want to break down. I'm still working on this on the back end, but I'm trying to break down what it is that I'm looking for in an Essential 22 tarot kit, because it's important for me to recognize that these decks that I choose will serve multiple. They're multifunctional. They're not a one-trick pony, that they can sustain reading for me by myself, reading for others, that they're good, either seasonal, as in the hot warm season and the cold cool season, that at least if I want to have a little bit of a rotation, there's a little bit of a rotation, but it's not spread so thin that I forget about a deck. Does that make sense? So I'm still trying to curate this on the back end. The Thoth decks, base decks, I was able to more or less break down and figure out right away. The Rider-Waite variants, however, whole different whirlwind of a story. I'm still trying to figure this part out. I think that it's giving me the most trouble. And for somebody like me who really enjoys tarot, who really talks about tarot like all the dang time, who uses it and who has done so for a while, that me having a hard time breaking down my collection that I do currently have into selecting 5 or 6 of them to just hone in on that they would be essential in my kit, it's proven to be really difficult. And so anybody who's new, who's coming in, it's like, if I'm overwhelmed and I've already been in it, got my feet all in it, somebody just brand new coming through might just be like, I don't know what to get, you know? And so I don't fault you guys for that. I don't fault you guys for like maybe always like asking that question. I think it's a very valid question. I think once you start collecting for different reasons, you're collecting because it's out of print, you're collecting because you want to collect and, you know, let it build with time, pass it down to the next generation, whatever your choice may be for collecting decks. Even in our own libraries of collections, I think sometimes we have a hard time deciding which ones we may want to use. And anyways, I'm rambling a little bit. Like I said, this is a chit chat, whatever. And then we find ourselves using the same 5, 10, 15 decks. And I think this is where this is coming from. It's coming from a place of going, well, what are my 22 kind of go-tos? What are my top 22 decks that I will always feel okay pulling them off the shelf to use them because I feel in a certain kind of way, or that it's relevant for a certain kind of reading. There's those multifunctional decks are the ones that stand the test of time. I really feel that way. Anyways, obviously with Tarot de Marseille, that is definitely the case. It has survived the test of time. It's still around. It's still popping. And yeah, I've really enjoyed that. On the books front, you know, I was hosting a book club on the Fortune's Wheelhouse Academy Facebook group. We just finished getting through the book 36 Faces by Austin Coppock, and that book club was very fun to run, number one. But for me, it was super intense because I was helping folks who are maybe a little bit newer to astrology, folks who may not have had the book because the book is currently out of print. But I did get word that there is going to be a new run of this book coming out. So if you can be patient, don't spend a ridiculous amount of money on your 36 Faces book if that's a book that's been on your kind of astrology wish list. There is a second print running that's going to be happening, I think by towards the end of this year. I'm gonna have to double check that, but it is in the works. So yeah. But anyways, with 36 Faces, I went about it kind of workbook style, you know, use your chart. What house does your sun land, you know, in your chart? And then we would work through the deacons and what does that mean and how is that nuanced in your life and all of this beautiful stuff. And so it was super intense. I've really been working through that book probably for the past 2 months. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but we just wrapped it up in July. And like I said, it was super intense because I was kind of had my foot in all of it, and I was definitely bouncing ideas back and forth with other people who participated, and it was great. It was great. It was wonderful. So if you can approach it workbook style, because it's not really a workbook, but if you could just go through your chart little by little, you'll see these nuanced expressions of a specific sun sign. So in this case, each sun sign is broken down into 3 quadrants. Astrology is a mathematical kind of language, but like we're in Leo season now, you could break Leo season up into, for example, 30 days. And each 10 days is ruled by a different planet, which is expressing itself through Leo, depending on which of those 10 days it lands in. So something to that effect. I'm not trying to confuse anybody, but anyways, good book, really good resource book to have in your collection if you're into astrology at all. It's eerily accurate. Like, it's one of those books that you can use as a bibliomancy book, and you're just gonna be like, what? Are you for real? Like, get out of my brain. Get out of my brain. Get out of my life. What are you doing to me? That's how I felt the whole time I was reading that book. It's great. It's a great book. What else have I been reading? My next book is this one. I did start reading it. I'm nowhere near finished reading it. This is Young Study in Astrology. And it looks small, but there is a lot to chew on in this book, and I love Liz Green. I love Liz Green so much. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So anyways, if you're into if you're into astrology, pick this up. Like I said, I read some of it, but what I've read so far has had me, it's one of those books where you read something and then you stop and you're like, wow. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those books that just makes you stop every so often, and you just kind of have to sit with the information and absorb it and transmute it and just go, dang, that's deep. It's a good book. It's a good one. Like I said, I haven't finished it, but it's good. At least it caught my interest. Tarot books, like I said, The Art of Tarot by Alejandro Jodorowsky. And then I've also been reading Camelia Elias's book, Towards the Art of Reading Tarot, I believe is the title. It is in the next room. I don't have a bookmark in it. I have it like face down, open, like this is where I'm at. And I quite enjoy her quick sharpness when it comes to reading the cards. Because I know, like, when I read for myself sometimes, I don't spend 30 minutes doing a reading. Not always, anyways. But if I need something kind of quick, fast, that's kind of how I read to myself, right? I'm like, oh, okay, this and that card came out, so that could mean this or that. What's the context of the question that I asked, etc. And that's how I kind of read for myself. Anyway, so I find it refreshing when, it's just like, well, just use your common sense and read what's on the damn cards. I love that so much. That I was like, okay, that's my kind of talk, because there is a lot of layers to this that we all learn, that we all we can pigeonhole ourselves sometimes into studying certain subjects, but are studying those subjects the thing itself? And it's not, right? My whole combining tarot and astrology is just that, right? I know astrology as a discipline, I know tarot as a discipline, and I see where they cross. And I like living in that little area. You know, I'm comfortable in that little area because I've dedicated time towards it. I've invested the energy towards seeing the connection, seeing where it matches up, where it synchronizes, right? So I haven't dove into full astrology concepts just yet on my channel, simply because I'm not sure where to start with you guys, because you're all coming from different backgrounds, and so I want it to be useful, and I don't want to go on for 100,000 years about certain things. I just kind of want to give you what you need to know, and what you can do to apply it, I guess. So anyways, I've been working on that on the back end, trying to figure out, my hair looks crazy, trying to figure that out on the back end as to what concepts do I want to like make dedicated videos towards, and how it's gonna puzzle itself together at, you know, different points in time. And I'm also aware I need to be a little bit more flexible with the channel, in terms of, I put a lot of pressure on myself. Let's just put it that way. I put a lot of pressure on myself to wanting to make things perfect. Okay. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm actually pretty chill. I put a lot of stress on myself, but if you were to ask me a very succinct question, I would make a video about it with no hesitation because somebody asked me for it. But if I'm doing it because I want to do it and I think that's what everybody needs, I'll take more time on it or something. You know what I'm saying? Let's see if there's anything else that I missed. I know one of you guys asked me about my bullet journal and if I would share it. And I was like, maybe I will. I don't know. I'm kind of weird about my privacy, right? And I put everything in here, so it'd be kind of, and it's not very pretty. It's just functional. It's like very minimalistic. I just write with a black pen, one black pen, one yellow highlighter. That's it. That's all I have going on in here. And then my notes for every day or every week and my little bullet points and and then I do a lot of brain dumping. I mean, and sometimes it just looks like a hot mess because I'm all over the place. No, I think I covered all my decks and books. I've been digging Jodorowsky's YouTube channel. He has a channel where there's a couple of videos that he has where he's talking about they're like tarot lessons. I think he calls them tarot lessons. That's how he has them labeled. And I just thought it was so beautiful and relaxing. Thanks, Maria, for showing me that, by the way, because I kind of got hooked onto his channel and I'm just like, this is so nice. It's different. It is subtitled because he's Spanish, so he speaks in Spanish, but I find it kind of nostalgic and relaxing in a way. So I've been really digging that channel. I was under the weather for a little while during the month of July, so I kind of been a little lackluster on the videos here and even really watching too many videos, so I feel like I gotta play a lot of catch up, but that's what's going on. So some updates with me, basically for the month of August, I have a promo going on where my prices are discounted for the month of August. So if you're interested in that, I would say the easiest way to get a hold of me is going to be, you can message me on Instagram, private message me on Instagram at Naya Thryce. I'll leave all the information in the description box. Or on Facebook. I'm on Facebook rather often, so a Facebook message could work also. You can find me there. I have a page called Naya Thryce Tarot and Astrology, and you can find me there and send me a PM there if you're interested in a reading. Basically, it's either going to be a 10 to 15 minute video reading that I'm offering, or a 3-card messenger reading, like text-based reading. So if you go over to if you check out my page over on Facebook, you'll see what the prices are, what that looks like for this month, and just hit me up with those details. So that's what's going on with me. I do have that promo on. I wanted to give everybody a chance to kind of check out my services, and because I'm a little bit lighter this month with other things, I said this is the perfect time to kind of put the word out about it. So that's what's going on with like shop wise, services wise. That's what I got going on. And then next month in September, the Fortune's Wheelhouse Academy group is having a tarot meetup in Massachusetts, and I am so excited. You don't even know. Me, Maria from Sacred Heart Tarot, and Darren were the admins of that group. And we've been planning this pretty much since the beginning of the year. So, oh my God, I can't even, like, my face is getting red. I'm just thinking about it. It's just going to be so cool to have a weekend of just immersed with like-minded people, talking about tarot and esoterics all day, all night, right? Oh, it's gonna be so good. I've been stressed out about it, like on the responsible adulting side of things. I've been really stressed about it. But on the inner child, like sociable part of me, I'm like, yes, we're going. This is gonna be so much fun. I can't wait. Like Christmas is coming or something. It's hysterical, but yeah, so that's going on. That's gonna be pretty cool. I can't even say too much. Anyways, that's what's going on next month. So I've been doing a lot of preparing now. We're in August, so I'm doing a lot this month now to prepare for that trip and to basically have my crap together, have my A game, my A brain there for the festivities, I suppose, because it's gonna feel like a big holiday. So anyways, that's what's going on with me. Oh my God, I've been rambling for about 37 minutes, and this is just, well, I haven't recorded in a while, so I guess I had a lot to tell you guys. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and stop this here before it goes on any longer and be let the madness stop. Let the madness stop already. All right, my loves, thank you if you've been hanging out with me this long. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Love you guys so much. And I'll talk to you on the next one. Much love, many blessings. Peace.